Hi there, my name's Dave Scott, and I'd like to share with you a little bit of my story of how I became a Christian. So, I was taken to church from the beginning of my life. My dad was a school chaplain and later on a vicar in the Lake District. It can't have been a bad experience because I remember choosing to go with my dad to church, sometimes sitting on the pulpit steps next to him at the front. I must have sat through many sermons, but probably it seems like all of them went over my head. I had no really clear idea of what God was like. The vague idea that he was in heaven, great but distant. People at church were mostly old, but also kind, and were nice, pleasant to be with. My parents, when I was about 12, encouraged me to do a confirmation course, and my dad was the teacher. And I remember that he taught us using the story of Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan. And it was really through that I first began to understand the gospel, the sense of a journey of faith, with Jesus being there at the end in heaven, rather than I would understand now as being with us along the journey. In my teens, I went away from God. I was teased about being a vicar's son, but my defense was, well, that's my parents' choice and it's not mine. I went to church when I had to, and I avoided it when my parents were away. I'd learned how to put on the right behaviour at church, but on the inside, things weren't so good. I remember once getting really frustrated trying to get an aerial cable over the vicarage roof and ending up swearing in front of my dad. When I started A-levels, a new friend appeared in our village, and his name was Julian. And we walked our parents' dogs together and talked a lot about also his faith. He was just taking his first steps and shared his thoughts and what he was learning with me. I was impacted by the obvious strength that my friend drew from his relationship with God, and I was interested to know more. He invited me along to a Bible study group. Now, I've been to church for about 17 years by that point, but I realised at the end of that time together, I'm not a Christian. I didn't really know him, and I didn't know what it would look like to live out a relationship with him. Shortly after my A-levels, there was a summer mission from Capernwray Bible College in my father's church. I was deeply touched by the lives and stories of the students. And one evening, I plucked up courage to ask one of the students how I would know if God wanted me to follow him, because I had come to believe the gospel at that stage. One of the students then explained to me that Jesus' death on the cross was because of his love for all of us, and that his invitation is for everyone to turn away from sin and to follow him. And that because of him, we can know and have a relationship with God as our Father. We can talk to him and hear him, and he'll lead us and give us strength to follow him through our lives. Alone in my room that evening, I repented of my sins and asked Jesus to be in charge of my life from then on. The timing was great in one way because after that summer I made a new start at college, and that was where I learned the foundations of living as a Christian. The Christian friends that I made there, I'm still in touch with over 30 years later. And I learned through them how to pray, how to study the Bible, how to lead a small group, about going to church, out of my own desire to go and desire to serve there, and also about missions. That was the beginning of my journey. And now I'm 30 years on and still with lots to learn. God bless you.